Good evening and welcome. Tonight we'll be going over the history and geography of Burgenland in Austria. Can you see? Austria, yeah. Austria. Quick note about the pronunciation because this is not how you say it at all in German. It's like Burgenland. Something like that. I'm not German. Well, I am German, but I'm American. And I'm going to pronounce things in the American way throughout my channel just to avoid any confusion. And unfortunately, we pronounce this place Burgenland, which is like, I don't know, it's like such a grating sound to me. It's so, I don't like it. But nevertheless, that's where we are. So I apologize on behalf of Americans and our terrible pronunciation. But it's one of those things, like, if I pronounced everything how they are pronounced there, you know, we'd be in Österreich. That's Deutschland, right? Like, it would be complicated. So I have to pronounce everything one way throughout the channel to avoid any confusion. I'm babbling. I'm going to talk about Austria. Beautiful, beautiful Austria. Burgenland is a bit different compared to the rest of Austria because you think Austria, you think the Alps, big, beautiful snow-capped mountains, or you think of the beautiful Danube River in Vienna. Burgenland has none of that. It is relatively flat. There's some mountainy areas around here, but they're like nothing compared to all the mountains over there, all of the Alps, right? It's you can't compare. Burgenland is mostly flat, beautiful farmland, lots of wine is produced here. But by far the most famous geographic feature in this state or Bundesland is Lake Neusiedler, which is another place that sounds terrible with American pronunciation. It sounds so much better in the German. We would say Neusiedler Lake. And this area is actually a UNESCO site. So let me grab my tablet and we'll read about the Neusiedler Sea cultural landscape. And I assume that's how you say it in Hungarian. My Hungarian is wretched. I'm not going to try. I'm struggling in the German. We're not about to throw in another language. But we can see the Neusiedler Lake area has been the meeting place of different cultures for 8 millennia. This is graphically demonstrated by its varied landscape, the result of an evolutionary symbiosis between human activity and the physical environment. The remarkable rural architecture of the villages surrounding the lake and several 18th and 19th century palaces adds to the area's considerable cultural interest. Let's see the photos here. Can see some nice architecture. Here's the actual lake there, the boats, the beautiful farmland, the vineyards, and some of the palaces that we'll take a look at. A few of them, beautiful churches as well, of course. But yeah, it's the whole area around this lake. Pretty neat. Some of those pictures might be in Hungary, actually, so disregard those, I suppose. But yeah, you can see this long border with Hungary, which is actually extremely important to its history. So let's talk about why that is. The original inhabitants of this area would have been the Celts, which later would be conquered by the Romans. This was part of the region of Pannonia. Eventually, in time, the Ostrogoths would move in, the first Germanic peoples to move into this corner of what's now Austria. the Huns would come and invade during the 5th century. They came and went. As the Ostrogoths maintained their power, eventually the Avars came and invaded this area, followed by the Slavs, and those two powers grappled over this area for a bit. Once that dust settled, it was conquered by the Franks. And during that time, throughout all of those times, all of those different occupations, various different Germanic peoples moved into the area. But the main victor of who would take over this area would be Hungary. In the year 1058, they put a stamp on it and say this area is now Hungarian, even though most people here, like I said, were of Germanic descent. Once the Habsburgs came to power, controlling pretty much all of what's now Austria, this area went back and forth between those two powers, the Habsburgs and the Hungarians, conquering and reconquering back and forth. In the year 1648, this area was owned by Hungary at that time. You can see the city here of Eisenstadt. I should have mentioned it's the capital today. But this town, at that point, was ruled over by the Esterházy family. And they would go on to build the beautiful castle here and other properties throughout. They're very important, not just because of all of the architecture and legacy they left behind, but skipping ahead a bit in history, in the 1700s, they'd commissioned a composer by the name of Joseph Hayden. Austria takes its composers very seriously. So this is important to note. That's a point of pride that Hayden once lived in the town here and wrote some beautiful pieces as well. But going back a bit in history, like I said, this area kind of went back and forth quite a bit between the Habsburgs and the Hungarians, but it was mostly Hungarian for the most part until the 16th century, when the Ottoman Empire started their invasion of Europe, conquering the Balkans, Serbia, and so on, and heading up through Hungary and conquering Hungary. As that invasion was taking over there, the Habsburgs swooped in and gained control of the region permanently, and it would be part of Austria for the rest of its history until today. Until eventually, the Habsburgs and the Hungarians would unite to create the Austrian-Hungarian Empire. So, yeah. Eventually it'd be technically ruled by both, although the area is still mostly Germanic peoples at this time. It's also important to note that this area here was part of Burgenland. So what happened here? Well, after World War I, the Austrian-Hungarian Empire collapsed. And in the dust were these two new countries, Austria and Hungary, and it was a dispute over where to draw the border. So in 1921, they agreed that Burgenland would become the new Bundesland, the new state of Austria. And many Hungarian people living here were furious, to the point that there was a whole armed rebellion. There were attacks, there were coordinated events of people attacking, doing things that I can't say on YouTube without being demonetized. You know what I'm talking about. They were planning a full-on, guerrilla-style attack on Austria, and Austria's like, let's not do that, and let's actually listen to these people and give them what they want. So here you can see Sopron. This was the capital of Burgenland. But after the referendum, the people here voted to become part of Hungary, and they allowed that. So this area, as it is today, became part of Hungary. The rest became part of Austria. And in 1925, they decided that Eisenstadt would be the new capital. Now, World War II really did a number on Austria. There was the Anschluss, where Germany just pretty much gobbled up the whole country. And during the end, we have various allied powers invading Western Europe. We had the Americans and British and French. The East, we had the Soviets. So most of Austria was liberated by the British, American, French coalition there. The East, including Hungary, was liberated by the Soviets. So Burgenland was liberated by the Soviet army in 1944. The rest by the other allies, right? So during that occupation period, the Soviet Union controlled this area here. But it was given back to Austria in 1955 once the country became independent again. And the border wound up becoming one of the Iron Curtain borders because the Soviets had total influence over Hungary and Austria was its own thing. So, oh my gosh, my stomach's growling. I'm not even that hungry. I don't even know what it's doing. So it was, one of those pretty contentious, very tense border zones, There are even grenades and stuff along there to keep people in, to keep them from fleeing to the west. I was also reading how once Hungary pretty much became free of that Soviet influence, many East Germans managed to escape into Austria before, East Germany fell. But that is all in the past. The Soviet Union no longer exists. The Iron Curtain has fallen. And that's pretty much where we are today. It is the least populated state in Austria. It is the least visited state in Austria. It's just the quiet little zone here that, doesn't really fit into the rest of Austria. But nevertheless, here it is. We'll talk about Carinthia in a couple weeks, where we'll see the Alps and all of the beautiful sights in Austria that you think of when you think of Austria. But on Google Earth, we're going to see a different kind of landscape here. So I can feel my stomach's about to growl again. Why don't we hop over to the tablet, check this place out on Google Earth, and then I guess I'll get a bite to eat. I don't know, my stomach is growling. There it is. Goodness. Let's head over to the tablet. Here we are in Burgenland. Let's zoom out so you can see exactly where we are in the world. If you don't know where Austria is, that's totally fine. I always thought it looked like a fried chicken leg to me. But yeah, that's how I find it on the globe. But here you can see beautiful Europe. Germany's just up there. We've got Poland. There's Hungary over here. You can see the big Alps here, and the Alps stretch up into Austria. So if you don't have borders like this, it's still pretty easy to find on the map. You can see the big beautiful mountains there. The Danube Basin, Danube Plain right there. And then there's Burgenland. Kind of the extra. I guess we'll start over here at the lake. Lake Neusiedl. It's of course beautiful. Lovely countryside. Some neat camping by the looks of it. Some neat towers to climb so you can see the landscape. Beautiful vineyards. Picnic areas. A sweet mule, I think. I don't think that's a donkey. I think it's a mule. But yeah, lots of towers, lots of lake activities. There it is from way high up. The beautiful, oh my goodness, my stomach, my goodness. Do you hear all that nonsense? Lighthouse, that's what I'm trying to say. I'll show you that in a second. Look at all the beautiful wheat fields, the sheepies, playing on the lake, wildflowers, all kinds of neat creatures and plants to point out and look at. And one of the more famous sites is that lighthouse in this town, Poldersdorf. See? Here it is. Look at that beautiful photo. Oh, that's lovely. Gorgeous clouds. An iconic little lighthouse with a little sunset bar cafe. That's fantastic. Oh my gosh. They're not kidding. The sunsets here are something else. It's so vivid. Aw. The sunset there. How lovely. Get some paddle boats. That would be fun. Oh my gosh. The sunsets here are just otherworldly. And then look, even in the daytime, if it weren't for the horizon, you wouldn't be able to tell where the sky meets the water. It's so reflective. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Is this a windmill? Yeah, look at that iconic windmill. Classic. Very cool. Let's look. I mean, all of these sites are really beautiful. Maybe we'll come back here and check it out. But like one of the more iconic sites, I gotta talk about it because everything mentioned it in my research, is the Family Park, which is this big theme park here. Yeah, classic rides, slides, dragons on some kind of substance. Just a little iconic theme park here, but oh, I hate these. Oh, I hate those ones. Those aren't fun for me. I don't enjoy myself. There's Hansel and Gretel about to get eaten by the witch in the candy house. I don't like these either. If I had to pick the boat one or the up and down, I'd pick the up and down, but I do like these little log flumes. Those are fun. Oh, there's Rapunzel. How fun. Yeah, everything I read was like sights to see. #1 Family Park. Like, okay, if you say so. I do like a good theme park. Let's head over to... I just got lost. Hold on, let me zoom out. There's Vienna. There it is. Eisenstadt. I almost wound up in Vienna. The one time that wouldn't be good. So we have there's the Schloss Park, which means the Schloss is over here. It'd be cool if the slideshow for it would pop up. Well, here's the castle. Why? Let's see what this is. Yeah, that's an art museum. I guess we'll look at the park. Yeah, the castle is very shy today. We'll just look at the grounds. One of those times where you go to a museum and they're closed for the day. That's what happened. We showed up and it's the one day they're closed, so we'll walk around the grounds and look at the ducks in the pond. See the cool hedges? Those are neat. They look like moss rocks. Beautiful trees. Yep. Okay. There it is. We can see the Burgenland Museum over here. See lots of archaeology. archaeological things, and so many different cultures lived here, right? Beautiful mosaic. Some bones of this creature. Cool big bike. Ooh, this is neat. What a neat exhibit. Ooh, very cool. Some neat doodads here. What is this? What's the purpose of this? Who wants to tell me in the comments what that is? Old cars, some birds, some rooms here. I bet you this is some Hayden stuff. We'll go look at that next. Whatever that is, it's cool. I like it. I don't know what it is. Oh, beautiful old carriage. Some Esterhazy stuff, surely. And some more wildlife. Alright, let's see some Hayden stuff. This is the Hayden Church, or Burg Church, I guess, same difference. I think that's where he's buried. That looks like a tomb, doesn't it? That would make sense that why they called it the Hayden Church. But yeah, if you need to know one thing about Austria, it's that they take their composers extremely seriously. I mean, Mozart is of course the number one, but I bet you it's a big debate over who would be number two. Let me see. I think there's a museum. Yeah, let's see. Because he lived and performed at the castle. Wait. This looks very new. I guess this is a place where they just play his music, which is still neat. But yeah, he would play in the castle. I would show you, but it's closed today. Do you think if we typed it in, it would pop up? Let's see. Eisenstadt. Make sure I'm spelling it right. Oh my goodness, my stomach is so furious. Castle. I'm sure if we put Schloss, that's a better idea. One moment. Schloss Esterhazy. Yeah. We did it. We broke in. Wow. Yeah, see? Performing area. That's what I'm talking about. I hope you're not hearing all these little weird pops. I'm picking up these weird little static sounds. I hope you're not hearing them. They're not super loud, but it's distracting. Isn't this beautiful? Look at another palace next. Oh yeah, there's a lot of static. I wonder why. Look at all the silver. Chapel area. I assume that's their family crest. Their carriage. Big mirror with a big old clock. Even more clocks. I mean, you gotta know what time it is, right? There we go. We got to see the castle. Let's look at another. Make sure I don't get lost again. Lower Austria. If we go... don't want to go too far. It's so much easier to find. Here it is. It's easier to find on a regular map than Google Earth. Burgenland. This is another Esterhazy castle. Big old fortress though, right? There's a difference between a castle and a palace. Castles are meant for defense. Palaces are just meant to be extravagant homes. So this would be a place, maybe if like the Ottomans were invading, they could come here with their suspended crocodile and feel a lot safer. Look at it. What's he doing? There's a story there. I wonder if any of you out there can tell me why there's a crocodile hanging from the ceiling. I'd like to know that very much. The rest of the state, I'm going to throw the borders back up 1 second. Burgenland. The rest of the state is pretty unremarkable. I've been looking around trying to find some neat things to show you. It's all pretty much farmland and little forests. Let's see what this is. It's all pretty snowy. It's very quaint. Very countryside. All the tools. It's pretty neat. Whoa, that's fancy. It looks like a hearse. Is this another tomb? Another casket? They're everywhere. The outhouse? I mean, you gotta go somewhere, don't you? This is such a cute little cottage. What vibes. I mean, talk about cottage core. My stomach's about to growl again. This is so inopportune. Thank you. Does that say Lucky Town? Wait, this is another theme park. Uh-oh, is Google Earth only showing me theme parks now? It looks Wild West themed. Ooh. Dolly would eat your heart out. Knott's Berry Farm, eat your heart out. Nothing compares to Lucky Town. Whoa. Whoa. Cool. What? This is wild. I wonder if this is like how in America we have Renaissance fairs. Holy moly. Ooh. Oh dear. We have Renaissance fairs where we pretend that we live in like ancient England or Scotland. This is like the opposite, where they're pretending that they live in America in like the Wild West. Interesting. That's funny. Let's find one more place to look at. Oh, I promised we'd come back to the lake, didn't I? Yeah, because there's really not much else to see. I've poked around. I mean, I didn't find Lucky Town when I was poking around. What do you think this is? It's a little chapel with something there. Interesting. Cottage. There's this. That's a little eerie. Okay. I mean, it's very pretty. Something there next to a vineyard. I did tell you we'd come back to the lake, didn't I? So you can see the part that's in Hungary down here. And up here, we're in Austria. Did we look at this slideshow? I think we did. My stomach's about to growl again. This town boost I also saw a lot in research. Hello, stomach. Why don't we look at this town slideshow? That's a long word. What is that? A big farm with storks and old stuff. I'm a fan of storks and old stuff. Little goose friends, duck friends, baby lammies, pretty storks, scary hand bowls, and pretty storks. Yeah, let me see. I don't know, how do you like stop your stomach from rumbling? A little quaint old town here. Wow. It's so cute. I feel like you would get some really good food here. Like some, like, homemade recipe passed down kind of food. There's a stork nest up there. But yeah, let's check out the lake one more time. Let's find a nice slideshow here by the lake to look at before we end this video. What's this? The lighthouse, another lighthouse. Well, let's look at this because this looks like it encompasses more pictures. Oh yeah, more beautiful sunsets. thank you so much for watching. Pretty sun. If you enjoyed this style of content, please consider subscribing. Hopefully next time my stomach won't be causing a ruckus. And maybe next time it won't be so chaotic, because next we're going to Thailand. We're going to a region that doesn't have a lot there, but there are some really beautiful wats. You know how much fun we have poking around Thailand and looking at all the pretty wats and things. So be sure to subscribe so you won't miss out. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. I do hope that despite everything, you found this video to be relaxing and educational, and I hope that you have a good night. Good night.